Hello, welcome everyone. This is me trying to share my thoughts on Pound USD for today, the 16th of May 2023. So basically, for a session trade, the analysis I do is on the predominantly on the 4-hour time frame. So as we can see on this 4-hour time frame, price is printing lower resistance and printing lower support as well, which would mean that most recent price action on this time frame is bearish. That said, based on this current structure to the downside on this time frame, buys would only be viable with some sort of support above this most recent level of resistance. Other than that, what I see printing currently is a potential range between this level of resistance and this level of support. And the size of the range is actually 80 pips. So really, price is pushing down and most likely printing a range currently. And if we would see that we are currently at the top of the range. So I just needed to have that in mind before going to the lower time frame, that the structure or the most recent price action on the 4-hour time frame is to the downside. Price is also most likely in a range currently between this level of resistance here and this level of support. So I would be primarily looking for sells based on those two information, and buys would see if we have more structure within these candles to determine if we can buy within this range, or better still, safer buys would be with support above this level of resistance on the 4-hour time frame. So if we switch to the 30 minutes time frame, we can then see that at this level of resistance, price was stuck between a range, and the range is basically between this level of resistance also on the 4-hour time frame, primarily this level of support right here, which also coincides with this previous resistance. So you can see that price was successfully rejecting this level of support before we came to the chart this morning. So now, added to the fact that the structure is to the downside, we are potentially now in a range. We are now also in a range on the 30 minutes at resistance. So a closure below this level of support would be viable for sales. All right. A closure below this level of support could be viable for sale, meaning if this candle closes bearish, for instance, in the next 14 to 15 minutes, and the next candle breaks the low, one can continue, quote unquote, the momentum to the downside from this level of resistance. Safer would be you allow this to push to the downside. All right. You allow it to push to the downside. When it does find some sort of resistance again, one can continue that trade to the downside. So I would conclude, based on all that has been said so far, that the structure is to the downside on the 4-hour time frame. We are currently at the 4-hour level of resistance, where structure is most likely would be changing. So meaning if we still stay below the 4-hour resistance, sales still make sense on the 4-hour time frame. We are currently trading in a range, or trying to break out of a range on the 30 minutes time frame. If we do close below this level of support, which looking back now we have done already, one could continue the sales, but I would prefer at this stage that it keeps going. If we then find some sort of resistance, then one could take sales. On the way down, one would have to pay attention to levels such as this, levels such as this, and levels such as this. But take profit in this scenario, it's whatever the market gives you, really, because at any point you could also find support at this previous level of support. So 1-to-1, 1-to-1.5, 1-to-2 should be viable. Or if you use dollar for your if you use dollar value, for instance, so you take what the market gives. So to recap, price structure is to the downside on the 4-hour time frame. We're currently potentially in a range on the 4-hour time frame to the downside. we are trading from the 4-hour resistance. If we do hold resistance below this level of support in the 30-minute time frame, we should more than likely continue down, taking profit at this previous level of support. Thank you.